Someone wrote to the New York Times advice columnist wanting to know if they can ask their ex to delete nude pictures he may have on his phone. Jamie, how would you handle this situation?
Well, okay, let me first say that I love sending nudes. That's a very important thing that I need to share first.
You do?
I think that it's, I can explain later. But I think, I would definitely want to ask to get those erased, and I would expect them to be erased because it's different than, let's say, like, you give someone a teddy bear. That, whether the person gives it back to you or not doesn't matter as much as nude photos. Nude photos, especially in our culture, there's power, they can be weaponized, it's an idea of control. And so I would want that definitely respected my wishes. But here's the weird thing that I was thinking about. When I'm on an app and I'm sending nude photos, I don't expect the same thing necessarily. And that was the interesting thing.
What do you mean? You don't expect what necessarily?
So I was trying to figure out, okay, is it the issue of sending the nude photos? Is it them having it? Or is it who has it? And what does that relationship mean?
Right.
And so if I send it to a stranger that maybe I'm flirting with, I can still ask for them to be deleted. But I don't think I would feel as vulnerable as I would with a partner who has my nude photos.
Okay, so you have sent to a stranger a nude to a stranger. You just said it.
But what does that mean?
Look at the way I dress. Of course I have.
No judgment. I think I've been out of the game for a long time, so you've sent a nude to a stranger.
And where and how?
Yeah.
Where and how? Is it airdrop?
Honey, through the DMs, Instagram DM, Twitter DM.
And are you including your face in this, or are you just showing certain parts?
So here's the thing, it depends. So if it's someone I don't know at all, I'll do from down here. And then if it's someone that I know more regularly.
Jamie, stop. So you're scrolling through Instagram and you see somebody, I presume, that you think is attractive or you'd like to flirt with. So do you start with an opening DM? Hey, I think you're cute. Followed up with Jamie nude, neck down. Is there an exchange first and then the nude, or literally it's you hit him nude cold?
You're asking a good question though, because different people take different tactics. For me, I'm still a little bit more old school. I'll still do a little bit of.
You're old school. You're saying. Okay, go. I'm learning.
I will always make sure that there's consent. So actually, I would never send a nude photo without asking first. And this is the thing that we do now, where we say, would you be okay with me sending you a nude? Would you enjoy this?
Does anyone ever say no?
Sometimes, if someone says that to me, I'll be like, I'm eating my scrambled eggs right now. I really don't want this in this moment.
Okay, right. Yeah. So they say yes.
Yeah.
They consent. And then to Cynthia's point, if it's someone you don't know very well, then it's a neck down.
No, stranger is the word.
So let's get back to this though, this particular story. So let's just say you've shown something to a partner with your face.
Yes.
You ask them to delete it. How are you to trust that they do? And if not, are you ever worried that these are going to end up somewhere that you can't control?
This is the thing where with other people, we never know, we can never guarantee, right? It almost goes back to our location sharing conversation. We can never trust that someone's gonna do the thing that we ask them, but the best thing we can do is set boundaries and hope that people respect.
Or you don't send nudes in the first place, Jamie!
But here's the thing.
Am I old and a prude?
So here's the thing, actually, nudes to me feel, and now you better hold on to your seat, they feel empowering to me. Because people who look like me in the gay culture, queer people of Asian descent are not considered sexy. There's actually racism against them, and we don't get to see a lot of people who look like me being seen as sexy. And so when I started to take photos of myself, I said, I'm sexy, I want to share this with someone. That felt empowering to me. And I don't hope that you disrespect me by then taking that and weaponizing it, right? Like that part I can't control. But the part about me feeling sexy, this is what Beyonce self-titled was about, right? This is about how I present myself, has nothing to do with you, but I do hope that you respect me for presenting, my idea of sexy.
Which is harder to gauge. I love everything you said, but that's harder to gauge when it's a stranger. Because you don't know what they're gonna do with your image versus obviously you would hope if it's an ex that there is already respect and love established.
And that's the funny thing, with a random stranger, I don't think that they have power over me the way that being in a relationship with someone, they may know your buttons, they may know, or you may be sending a different type of nude. Oh, we're gonna get into shades of nudes now, different types of nudes. But I think that there's an intimacy attached to sending those nude photos to a partner that's then very different. It's very charged. And when you say, please erase those, it's different than the nude I might send to
Can I ask you a parenting question? And not because you have, I don't think you have kids.
I don't have kids.
But I have an 8-year-old daughter, and we're already starting to have these conversations. And it sounds like I'm a little older than you, maybe a lot older than you. And it does sound like there's a massive generational divide in how we look at nudes. In a million years, I would never send a nude, because if I wouldn't want it to show up on a billboard along the Gardner, I'm not gonna send it to you.
Sure,
That's my sort of my gauge. I have a daughter, and it sounds like generationally speaking, there has been a massive shift that sending a nude is nothing. And so now I'm like, how do I make her feel like she's still part of her generation, but parent her properly through this time?
Important also to note, for anyone watching, that there is a legal, this is the part of this that you do have to talk to your kids about. There is a point of time in which they're below the age of consent to send those pictures, even if they take them themselves, even if they think they are consenting to it. It's actually against the law and is considered child pornography. So let's just put that out there.
Not if they send them.
Yes, there's still, as far as I know, there's, yes, exactly.
So I'm just gonna tell her she's gonna go to jail.
Well,
is that,
I don't know what you want to say.
But
I think that the hard thing about this is, and the same thing goes right now, you mentioned the weaponization. I have a son too. There's been stories of kids who have taken their own lives as a result of extortion, being told, thinking they're engaging with somebody who may or may not be interested, asking them to take photos of themselves. They think they're consenting, they think they know who they're sending them to, and then that person is not who they say they are, trying to extort money, trying to extort whatever. So this is such a complicated thing because it can be weaponized depending on your age, your gender, your gender identity, your community. There's so many layers.
And did you take it for yourself? This is the biggest thing, right? Is that what I would say to your daughter when she's of age is, did she do that because it made her feel sexy, or did she want someone to think of her as sexy? Those are two very different things. And so when I take nudes for myself, it has to be that I like what I see. It's not about hoping that someone validates me from it. That's the worst way, I think, to take a nude.
This is deep, heavy stuff. I think your next book is a parenting book, Jamie? Is that where we're gonna go? No, it's a fascinating thing, because I think there is, obviously gender is a big part of it. We still know that the woman's body is weaponized against ourselves in a different way than maybe a heterosexual man.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, and we've seen it, we've talked about it, every time Justin Bieber's strutting around naked and the world sees his thing, it's like, his thing, who am I? Every time someone sees a man's body, genitals, it's like, oh yeah, they give him a big smack, yeah, Justin. Whereas a woman's bare breasts, it's like her career could be over, as if that has been weaponized against her. So I am very fearful for my daughter coming into this culture where if the expectation, if she turns out to be heterosexual, if the expectation is nudes, 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 or we're not even dating, I'm petrified.
But maybe that's where the progression has happened, because as you've been saying, there is a generation where the nudes are a shrug. People are sending it
over.
That's
my daughter's body.
I hear you, but at a certain point, she's gonna come into a world where her peers and her community feel about nudity, hopefully, in a different way already. I mean, we're not that much older than Jamie, okay? Easy. And even with Jamie's generation, it's starting to feel different. I think your attitude is part of that shift, where if you refuse to feel shame about it, then how can somebody weaponize against you?
Let's change the culture. That's the biggest thing, right? By being active in the conversation, we get to define this culture in a way that isn't as heteronormative and isn't as male-centric. I think that's the most important part.
Oh, we're gonna leave it right there.
Thank you also for citing Beyonce in your TED Talk. Really appreciate it.
You know where you can get some more all-around great content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with all the laughs and thought-provoking chats you could ask for. So do yourself a favor, like and subscribe now.